This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
So
sir.
today we'll start with CDISC SDTM. Okay, so this was the presentation which I have given long back. Okay, right. So now we will go with the slides. So CDISC stands for Combined Data Interchange Standards Consortium. Okay, and SDTM is Standard Data Tabulation Model. Okay, actually CDISC stands for Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium, and SDTM is Study Data Tabulation Model. Okay, so wantedly, purposefully, I have written it as combined, and here it is standard. So whenever we are giving presentation, okay, after one presentation మనం క్లాస్లో మాట్లాడుకుంటాం చూసారా. సో ఒక క్లాస్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత once we are done with one class, before another class is started, people will make lot of noise, right? They'll speak, I don't know what they talk, but they talk they talk a lot, correct? Yes or no? Fine. So ala kuda whenever we are giving presentations in real time scenarios, whenever we are conducting workshops, journals, when we are doing it, so people will talk like that only. Just to drag audience attention, I started with contradictory statements. కావాలని తప్పు చెప్తే అప్పుడు జనాలు ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళారే వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్ గై టాకింగ్ హియర్, ఎవ్రీవన్ విల్ స్టార్ట్ ఫోకసింగ్ ఆన్ యువర్ ప్రెజెంటేషన్. ఓకే, సో ఇదొక ప్రెజెంటేషన్ స్కిల్, ఇదొక వన్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ అప్రోచ్. ఓకే, సో కరెక్ట్గా మాట్లాడుతున్నప్పుడు ఎవరు పట్టించుకోరు. ఏదైనా ఒక్కటి తప్పు మాట్లాడామా అబ్బా ఇంకా అయిపోయాడు ఆడి, లైక్ హీ డస్ నాట్ నో ఎనీథింగ్, దెన్ పీపుల్ విల్ జంప్ ఇన్ ది కంక్లూజన్ దిస్ గై ఈ స్పీకింగ్ నాన్ సెన్స్. కరెక్ట్? ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? ఎవ్రీబడి విల్ ఫోకస్ దెన్. ఇది ఎవరినైనా మాట అనాలంటే ఎంతమంది ముందు ఉంటారు కదా. సో అలాంటి కేటగిరీ కోసమే సో వీ డూ దిస్ సమ్ దీస్ ఆర్ సమ్ టెక్నిక్స్ జస్ట్ టు గ్రాబ్ people's attention. This is one technique, that's it. ఓకే, మంచి చెప్తే ఎవ్వరు వినరు, అవునా? తప్పులు చెప్తేనే అప్పుడు people will focus, people will start speaking, correct? So now after that, when everybody started looking at you, then with simple smile, so we will tell the definitions. CDISC is Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium. After seeing this slide, people will feel relaxed. Yes. This is presentation technique. CDISC stands for Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium, and SDTM stands for Study Data Tabulation Model. ADAM, Analysis Data Model. SDS, Submission Data Standards. DDT, Data Definition Tables. DDT is Data Definition Tables. ఆల్రెడీ మనం చెప్పుకున్న ఎస్డిఎస్సి సబ్మిషన్ డేటా స్టాండర్డ్స్, ఐఎండ్ ఇన్వెస్టిగేషనల్ న్యూ డ్రగ్, ఎన్డిఏ న్యూ డ్రగ్ అప్లికేషన్, ఐఎస్ఎస్ ఇంటరిమ్ సమ్మరీ ఫర్ సేఫ్టీ. దిస్ ఆల్రెడీ వి కవర్డ్, రైట్? Right. So these are some basic definitions which everyone should be aware of. Right. So CDISC, Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium. So this definition we already have covered, right? CDISC is a global, open, multidisciplinary, non-profitable organization. This definition we already covered, correct? So benefits of SDTM also we covered. And SDTM implementation guide and its versions. People across the globe, not one country, two countries, across the globe. Everybody in this globe, okay, has to follow this implementation guide to convert data into SDTM standards. Okay, everybody across the globe should follow these standards. So whatever the country it is, whatever the regulatory it is, everybody should present clinical trial data with respect to CDISC standards, correct? In CDISC, SDTM is one part. Okay, right. So SDTM implementation guide, earlier it is like, we have different versions of implementation guide. Version 3.1.1, 3.1.2, 3.2, 3.3. 3.3 is now, it is ready. It is not in draft stage, now it is ready. Okay, so version 3.3 final recently only we have got version 3.3 final copy, and everybody are following latest version SDTM version 3.3. Still few studies are still following version 3.2 only. When they started their study, it is version 3.2. They captured data with respect to 3.2, so they're still following version 3.2. But people like, after version 3.3 is started implemented, after version 3.3 final document is come. So if you are starting a clinical trial newly now, we have to follow this standard version 3.3. Okay, right. These are all the different versions we have. Okay, so SDTM implementation guide, you can see here. In general, this implementation guide will in general what it will do is it will give complete idea about all the domains, assumptions, business rules, and examples for preparing that standard tabulation, standard data sets, how to create an SDTM data set. They will provide you the guidance. Right. So in version 3.2, these are the new things added. In version 3.2, these are all the domains added. Actually, all your domains are classified into three types: interventions, events, findings. All your data sets domains are classified into three types: interventions, events, findings. In interventions, they have added this: exposure as collected and procedures. And in events, they have collected this: health encounters. And in findings, they have added these: death details, immunogenicity specimen assessment, microscopic findings, morphology, reproductive system findings, RP, and I think few more are there. Subject status, skin response, trial disease assessment. So we have added these three in version 3.2. Okay, these are all the latest domains added in version 3.2. So 3.3 లో ఏం యాడ్ చేశారు ఒక నిమిషం ఆగండి. With 3.3 now you see final, right? So 3.1.1 నుంచి నేను వర్క్ చేస్తున్నా. 3.1.2, 1.3, 3.2 final. What's new in 3.2? What's new in 3.2? ఇది ఇవ్వాల. కొత్తగా ఏం యాడ్ అయినాయి? Pharmacokinetic domains, concentrations we know. ఎక్సర్సైజ్ అయినా కూడా అన్ని ప్రిపేర్ చేసేస్తాడు. సో బ్రీఫ్ హిస్టరీ when they have generated 2004 నుంచి ఉన్నాయి. మాకు ఎందుకు ఇవన్నీ? కనిపిస్తుందా? Special purpose they added subject disease milestones, SM, trial disease milestones, TM. They have added these two domains. And new domains, procedure agents, meal data. New domains, drug accountability, ఇవన్నీ మనకు ఉన్నాయి. We have all this. So here is read cardiovascular findings. System, musculoskeletal system findings, nervous system findings, ophthalmic examinations, respiratory system findings, urinary system findings. These are all the domains they have added. Hmm? So these are all the domains they have added. Business and decision. So they have given some details about this. So the system findings, they have given some details. NV nervous system disorders, OE, what information we have to do. So they have captured from version 3.3 and they have given ophthalmic examinations. Ophthalmic is related to eye. మనకు తెలుసు కదా ఇదిగోండి ophthalmic examination. So these domains they have added. Okay, so these domains they have added. So this is for eye related studies. Okay, they have given some examples also, some good examples also to make you understand much more better way. Okay, right. Reproductive system findings, you see, right? So these are all they have added new. So if you want, you can get this presentation from Google. You can see, right? You can get this presentation. So what's new anagane automatically you can see, right? It is giving that. So this site, Lex Jansen, okay, Lex Jansen, this site will have very good information. Even SAS and CDISC, they have very good documentation. So every topic, they will prepare paper like this. Okay, right. This is one very good. And this is presented in Fuse. You see, right? Fuse Connect EU Europe 2018. Okay, right. So that's okay. So now we are done. Next, going back to the presentation. So SDTM fundamentals. So no need to write, you will get a presentation. This presentation, you will get it. So no need to copy. So I'll ask the team to send all SDTM related information. Okay, right. So SDTM fundamentals, right? So first one, identifier. These are the variables which identifies the study, subject involved, domain, and sequence number. These are all the variables which identifies the study, subject involved, domain, and sequence number. So SDTM variable classification. Variables and the columns, right? So these variables are classified into 5 types. First one, identifier. Second one, topic. Third one, timing. Fourth one, qualifier. Fifth one, rule. 5 classifications are there. 5 types of variables are there. Identifier, topic, timing, qualifier, and rule. Right. Identifier. By looking at these variables, we can understand which subject the data belongs to, which study the data belongs to, which domain the data belongs to, and which sequence number the data belongs to. By looking at this, you can identify few things. By looking at this kind of variables, we can identify few things. So those variables will come into the classification called identifier. Okay. So examples are subject ID, domain, sequence number, study ID. These are all your identifier variables. Topic variables. This specifies the focus of observations. I have 10 observations. All these 10 observations is talking about one concept. Okay. So in that case, variables which are storing that information, they belong to topic variables. For example, name of your laboratory test. Suppose to say I have hematology. Hematology test means how will you say what all the test makes hematology? Hematology test means what all the tests they do? They collect.
CBP.
They collect
Blood.
complete blood
Blood.
picture, right? Complete blood
Yeah.
picture, percentage of hemoglobin,
BMP,
percentage of WBC, RBC. Correct?
basic metabolic
Correct. So all these observations are focusing about one concept, one test. It is hematology, right? So variables that are storing these kind of values, those variables will come into the classification called topic variable. This will specifies the focus of observations. Next, timing. Variables that are storing dates, times, date times. Those variables will come into the classification called timing variables. Example, start date, end date. Adverse event start date, adverse event end date. Next, qualifier. Contains additional text, values, or results, which helps describes the observations, such as units or descriptive adjectives. Suppose to say, I have checked person number 1 weight. So her weight is 60. 60 is kgs or pounds? Kgs. So variables which are storing this information. So this variable will come into the classification called qualifiers. It gives more information about your observation. It will give more information about your observation. So those variables will come into the classification called qualifiers. Rule. So if you are deriving a variable based on an algorithm or calculation, algorithm is nothing but a formula, correct? So variables which are derived based on algorithm or calculation, those variables will come into the classification called rule. This is mainly used in TDM, trial design domain. Right. So 5 rules, 5 variable types are clear to everyone, is there no? Identifiers,
Yes,
topic,
sir.
timing,
Timing,
qualifier,
qualifier,
rule.
identity. Rules, sir.
Rule. Okay.
Rule.
So 5 types of variables are there. Classification of qualifier variables. Classification of qualifier variables. So qualifiers is further categorized into 5 classes. Qualifiers is further categorized into 5 classes. So first one, grouping qualifier. First one, grouping qualifier. Second one, result qualifier. Grouping qualifier, result qualifier. Next one, synonym qualifier. So synonym means మనకు తెలుసు కదా meaning, different words which has same meaning, right? Record qualifier. Okay, record qualifier and variable qualifier, right? Variable qualifier, right? So these are all the qualifiers, 5 types of qualifiers we have. You see, right? This fourth category is again classified into 5 types. These qualifiers are again classified into 5 types. So grouping qualifier. So these are all used to group together a collection of observations. These are all used to perform a group of observations. Okay, right. LB category of your laboratory test. So in a laboratory test, you will have all your laboratory test values. So W, like supposed to say. So in laboratory tests, we have hematology, serology, biochemistry. Okay, so creatinine kinase, this is a test. WBC, it is a test. Percentage of hemoglobin, it is a test. So this test belongs to a category called hematology. So this for for WBC, RBC, percentage hemoglobin. So for all these laboratory tests, the category is hematology. WBC, RBC, percentage of hemoglobin. For all these tests, the test category is hematology, right? So variables which are storing this, hematology. So those variables will come under the classification called grouping qualifier. So this variable is grouping particular set of observations, correct? This variable is grouping particular set of observations. For example, LB cat, laboratory category. Next, result qualifier. This describes the specific result associated with topic variables for a finding. So topic variable. So topic variable is name of your laboratory test, correct? Topic variable is name of your laboratory test. For example, hematology. So I have done hematology test. Whether the hematology test is pass or fail. So variables which are storing this information, result, pass or fail, those variables will come into the classification called result qualifier. These variables are storing results, right? Result from topic variables. Result from topic variables. So these variables will come into the classification called result qualifier. Is this a slide clear to everyone? Yes or no? Can I move on to next page?
Yes, sir.
Synonym qualifier. So we all know synonyms means observations which are has same meaning. AE term, AE modify, and AE decode. AE term, AE modify, and AE decode. So adverse event term, modified adverse event term, and decode, dictionary derived code. Right. So AE term is a variable. So subject, supposed to say subject is participating in my clinical trial. Subject got severe headache. So whatever the information your subject gives to investigator, same as it is, they will write it in AE term. So subject will come to investigator essays and says, I'm suffering from severe headache, pounding headache. Pounding headache is severe headache, right? So I'm suffering from pounding headache from past 30 minutes. Same text he will write it in AE term. So in AE modify, you have to modify the text. So what is the adverse event the subject got? Headache. For headache, what is the dictionary derived code? So you have a dictionary derived code. We have MEDRA, Medical Dictionary for Regulatory Activities. Right now it is version 23.1 we are using, but I'm not sure what is the latest version for MEDRA. Okay, in my studies I'm using version 23.1. Okay, right. So dictionary derived code will be there. So what is the correct dictionary derived code for headache? So for headache, it is same headache. Okay, so all these three variables are storing same information. If you understand, all the three variables are storing same information. These variables are comes into the category called synonym qualifier. All the three variables are storing information related to headache only, right? So it is a synonym qualifier. And record qualifier, you can see here. These kind of variables defines additional attributes of an observation. It will give more information for an observation. For example, AERL is a variable. Whether this adverse event is related to your study treatment, yes or no. Subject number 1 got headache. Start date, end date he will have. So whether this headache is related to investigation product, yes or no. So you are giving much more information about this observation. So you see, right, in this case, you see variables which are storing this information will come into the classification called record qualifier. Record qualifier you can see, right? And variable qualifier, I told you, right, variables which are storing units, additional information. If you are giving additional information about your observation, so those variables will come into the classification called variable qualifier. So for example, lab units. For example, person number 1, age is 23. 23 is years or months or days. So years. So this information will store in age units. So variables which are storing units will come into the classification called variable qualifier. So identifier, topic, timing, qualifier, rule. 5 categories. Next one, grouping qualifier. Grouping qualifier. Next one. Next one,
Result
result
qual
qualifier.
Result qualifier,
result
Synonym
name
qualifier.
synonym
qualifier,
Record
record
qualifier.
qualifier,
variable.
Variable qualifier.
variable qualifier.
Right. So these are all the 5 qualifiers we have. Okay. Right. These are basics. Right. And when coming to observations, data sets containing observations are classified into 3 types. Data sets containing observations are classified into three types. So earlier we have learned variable classifications, now data set classifications. First one, I told you, right? ఇంతకు ముందే చెప్పాను నేను, right? So before explaining this, so whenever I'm explaining new domains that are added, I have shown this. So data sets are classified into three types. First one, intervention. Second one, events. Third one, findings. Interventions, events, and findings. Interventions. This class captures information regarding investigational treatment, therapeutic treatment, and procedures. This class captures information regarding investigational treatment, therapeutic treatment, and procedures. So this information, these data sets will store information related to treatments, okay, therapeutic treatment, and some procedures. Examples are concomitant medications, exposure data sets, and substance use. If you have any information, if your data sets are storing any information related to some treatments, it can be investigational products, or it can be concomitant medications that are used, or it can be some information related to your medicines. All that information will come into classification called interventions. All that will come into the classification called interventions. Next, events. This class captures occurrences and incidents occurred during a study trial. During your clinical trial, if any events, incidents occurs, all that information will come into the classification called events. And data sets that are storing this information is AE, adverse events, MH, medical history, DS, disposition, DV, protocol deviations. So all these data sets will come into the classification called events. Findings. If you are doing any assessments and if you are getting results, okay, in that case, we have to store that information. We have to get this information to findings domain. Okay, we have to get this information to findings domain. Right. So IE, LB, IE, LB. IE stands for inclusion exclusion criteria, and LB stands for laboratory domain, and QS stands for questionnaires. PE stands for physical examination. PC stands for pharmacokinetic concentration. PP stands for pharmacokinetic parameters. SC stands for subject characteristics. VS stands for vital signs. Okay, so these are all the domains which are storing some information after doing some assessment. Okay, so data sets that are storing information after doing assessments, those data sets will come into the classification called findings domain. And you can see examples: interventions, CM, EX, SU. Underline this point: in SDTM, all your domain names should not exceed more than 2 characters. In SDTM, all your domain names should not exceed more than 2 characters. So the reason you see all domain names are having 2 characters only. So read these abbreviations: CM concomitant medications, ES exposure, SU substance used, AE adverse events, DS disposition, MH medical history, DV protocol deviations, CE clinical events. Next, findings. ECG test results, easy. IE inclusion exclusion criteria not met. LB laboratory test results. PE physical examination. QS questionnaires. SC subject characteristics. VS vital signs. DA drug accountability. MB microbiology specimen. MS microbiology susceptibility test. PK concentrations. PC. PP pharmacokinetic parameters. Okay, right. Pharmacokinetic parameters మనందరికి తెలుసు కదా, right?
Sir.
FA. So this is a new classification. Actually, in general, there are three classifications. Now we have one more extra classification called findings about. If you are drawing some result, if you are able to draw some conclusion, or if you are able to get some result from events or interventions, domains, if you are able to draw some result from interventions or events domain, then all that information will go into FA domain. FA domain. Findings about domain. Okay, right. Next, special purpose domain. You can see, right? It includes subject level data. This is one more category. Yeah? Interventions, events, findings, findings about. Now one more category, special purpose domain. So special purpose domain. In this domain, we include subject level data, and this information did not belong to any of the three observation class. So examples are demographic. In demographic, you will have age, sex, race, height, weight. Is this related to, is this information related to treatments? No. So it will not go to interventions domain. So is this information related to events? No. So this will not go to intervention domain. Is this any assessment we are doing and getting a result? No. So these domains will not belong to any of the three observation class. So these are called special purpose domain. In this we have subject level data, demographics, comments, subject visits, subject elements. So all these four domains belongs to special purpose domains category. Next, TDM, trial design model. This is also one more classification. Clinical trial design. The design of a clinical trial is a plan. So it is a plan for what assessments will be done to the subjects. What assessments you are going to the subjects, and what data you will be collected during the trial. And what data we will collect during the trial to address trial objectives. So your objective is to, cure COVID-19 virus. Correct. Agree, yes or no? That is efficacy. Right. So what data you are collecting to prove that your statement is right. Right. So the data sets that fall under this model are TA, trial arms, TE, trial elements, TV, trial visits, TI, trial inclusion exclusion criteria. TI, trial inclusion exclusion criteria. And TS, trial summary information. Okay. Special purpose relationship data sets. This is one more category. Special purpose relationship data sets. So you see, right, supplemental qualifiers. Special purpose relationship data sets. You see, right, supplemental qualifiers. Supplemental qualifiers are the data sets that are used to capture non-standard variables and their association to parent records. For example, as per your SDTM DM, we will have only race variable. We will have race variable. Suppose to say in my study, the subject is belonging to three races and my sponsor has collected all the three races. Race 1, race 2, race 3. Race 1, race 2, race 3 are non-standard data, right? So if you have non-standard variables, where data sets that are storing non-standard variables will come into the classification called supplemental qualifier data sets. Data sets that are storing this information will come into supplemental qualifier data sets. Right. And you can see here the variables present in this data set are study ID, R domain, U subject ID, ID var value, QNUM, etc. Okay, these are all the variables that are present. And relate records. So relate records. So in some cases we combine two domains into one. Okay, in some cases we create two domains into one. So RelRec is used to describe relationship between records in two or more data sets. If you wanted to see relationship between these records from two or more data sets, in that case we create RelRec records. Right. For example, adverse event related to concomitant medication. If you wanted to draw some interpretation based on these two domains, in that case we perform this relate records. Relate records we will not do it. If sponsor wants you to do, then only we will do this. Otherwise we will not do it. Okay, right. So I'll stop this here for today. Tomorrow we will learn more about this supplemental qualifier data sets. In which case we create all this stuff we will see. And we will also see some domains. Right. Probably by tomorrow, we will have some understanding about SDTM domains. Okay. By tomorrow I cannot complete this, but still. Okay. Right. Okay. That's all for today, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Sir, when will you send this PDF?
I'll ask the team to share now. Okay.
Are we supposed to just have an understanding, or we have to keep all the abbreviations in our mind?
You have to
Whatever
keep
it is.
abbreviations in mind. You have to keep abbreviations in mind. These are basic, right? CM, concomitant, EX exposure, SU substance use, DS disposition, DV protocol deviation. You have to keep these points in mind.
The subheadings also, what you said, sir. Every
Everything,
subheading.
everything you have to keep in mind. Okay, because this is a day-to-day terminology we use in real-time scenarios. You should be familiar with this terminologies and the terms. Okay, right. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you. Bye.